Alright guys, this is 7 through 12 on your Go formative. We want to figure out our coordinates here. So they're telling us that D, we don't know how far back we went on D, but I do know that B is going that exact same distance. And that means that I'm going to have to go back at negative h for D. So D is at negative h0. B is at negative h2k. And this here is right in the middle. So I'm going to go up, which means I'm going to double it. I'm still going to go back the same amount, the same distance here going back, which is going to be negative h. But for my k going up, I went up from 0 to 2k and then an additional 2k, which means I'm going to be left at 4k. And again, because I'm doubling this, I went back h, which means I'm going to go back doubling it. I'm going to go back 2h, and that's where I get my c. So here is my negative h and then my negative 2h. But how far did I go up? Well, I went up the same distance here, the same distance here that I went up to right here, which is going to be a 4k. Going over to number 8. These are all mid-segments. So I know going from, I'm starting at 0, 0 right here at my origin. And so I'm going to go over all the way here. That gives me h. So here, if this is a mid-segment, I'm going to take that half of that distance, which is going to be h over 2. It's going to be right here. So that means my f, I went over h over 2. So that's going to be my x there. And then to figure out what my y is, well, if I went up from here to here, I went up k. Half of that is going to be k over 2. So this guy right here is going to be a k over 2. And for my d, well, my d, I went over the same distance that I went for my e, which is going to be h. So I went from here to here as h. Then how far up did I go? Well, I went up the same distance that I went up here for the a, which is going to be my k. So I'm going to get hk. And again, these are all cut in half. So if I'm going to go up from my d to my c, you can see that the x value for both these guys, I'm traveling over h distance, and I'm going up k, an additional k, which is going to give me my 2k. Then to figure out for my b, I'm going to go over the same distance from my origin over to f, which is h over 2. So I'm going to go over h over 2. And then to figure out my height, I know that I'm going to go from here to here. For my a, it's k. But going from here to here, for the c, it's going to be 2k. So I really want my midpoint, and that's where I get my 3k over 2.